Welcome to Volkswagen ID4 Tips and Tricks Part 2. If you missed Part 1, I highly recommend you go and watch that after this video so you can find some of the most basic things that I recommend that ID4 owners should know. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about some of the advanced features, such as getting into your car if your key fob is dead, and how to release your charge port if for some reason your key fob or your vehicle won't allow you to do so. With that, let's just get started. In my first video, I talked to you guys about how I unplug the charging cable when it's actively charging and locked on a daily basis. This tip is if you have an emergency where both the infotainment system and the key fob fail to unlock the charge port. So to demonstrate this, I'm at home. You can see that the car is plugged in and it's charging. Let's say that I tried to unlock that and it didn't work. There's another way as an emergency to get the charge port to unlock. To do this, you want to go to your cargo area and you're going to see this tiny little flap right here with the little plastic piece that you can turn. Now, when I first did this, I had to go in and kind of rip the cloth a little bit. So just know that you're going to have to tear this to kind of get it to open the first time. But once you do that, you can twist this right here and pull this flap back. And you're going to see this little yellow handle right here. This is going to allow you to pull the emergency release for the charge port. Now keep in mind there is a high voltage cable back here as well. You're probably not going to be able to see that on camera, but that's for emergency responders. So if you have some kind of accident, they want to kill the power to the battery altogether, they can come back here and slice that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to reach my hand down in there and pull this little cable. Now, I'll tell you that it takes quite a bit of effort. It's not a light tug. You have to really stretch it back to get it to release. And you're going to hear it. So I'll stop talking and let's see if you can hear this. All right. And I heard it pull back and now I can take out the charger. This next tip is for if your car ever runs out of power. Let's say you drain the battery all the way down, your 12-volt battery dies, and you need to get in the car, but the electronic door latches aren't working like normal. What you can do is you take your key fob, and if you look, you can see right there, there's a little button that you can push, and by doing so, you can pull out a key from the top of it. So once you have this part out of the key fob, there's a little slot that you can slide this up into in this part of the door handle. And once you get it up there, and this is not going to be graceful, you want to kind of pull it towards you. So once you have this piece off, you're going to see this key slot. And this key slot's going to allow you to take this part of the key fob and lock and unlock the door. So you put this part in here and you turn it. I'd like to note that I'm not really sure what's going on here, but the ID4 locks are a little finicky, so you might have to twist and turn this a few times to get it to work properly. The rearview camera on the ID4 actually has a little washer that if you get dirt or mud on it, something like that, you can clean it before taking off on your next drive and it won't block your camera back there. To use it, you just simply put the car in reverse. And once it's in reverse, you're going to push back on the windshield wiper stalk right there. And once you push back on it, you can see it sprays across the rear view camera. I don't like the default rear view camera personally because it distorts objects, especially when you get really close, and it makes it seem like they're closer than they actually are to your car. You can change the view of the rear view camera here in this menu. So my personal favorite is this one right here, which gives you more of a wide view camera. And you can see a vehicle's coming towards me that I could not see before I switched the view of the camera. So when I back out of parking spaces, especially with a lot of traffic, I always go to this view instead. All right, so this next one I randomly stumbled upon as I was driving and trying to adjust the temperature now that it's actually getting cold where I live. And that is, right now, if you look at the heated seats, you have to go through this menu and then turn them on like this on both sides, but there's actually a simpler way. So if you see these little temperature sliders right here on both sides, passenger and driver, all you have to do is take two fingers and simply tap and that will give you a shortcut directly to the heated seat, so you don't have to go through the menu and mess with all that, especially while you're driving. Another good part about this is, let's say you're navigating. Right now, if you go to the heated seats while you're navigating or Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, it takes you away from the screen for a minute and you have to go and do what I just showed you. However, with the tapping, it stays on the screen and just darkens it until you're done, and then you can stay right where you're at. So less annoying of the driver, let's say if you're navigating or something like that, so you don't have to take them away from the screen. They can keep the map up, and you can change and adjust the heated seat as you'd like to. There's a trick on the 84 to get the windshield wipers in service mode without having to really touch anything on the infotainment screen. And to do this, all you have to do is push the button down here to turn on the ignition, and then turn it off, and then just pull up on the windshield wiper stalk, and they stay in place for service mode. Of course, you can also do this right here with the infotainment screen, where you can select this when you turn the car off and it'll put them in this position as well. Most of you probably know by default that the window switches control the front windows. And of course, if you hit the rear button there so that it turns orange, that will control the rear windows. However, if you hold the rear button down until it blinks like this, it will control all the windows at once. Pretty cool. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any additional tips for ID4 owners, please leave them in the comments below.